May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. Welcome to another Cuke Audio podcast. I'm DC, Poobah of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable, free from economic hardship, and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. So I'm going to read you from a Shunryu Suzuki lecture, but before I do that, I would like to comment on something rather disturbing that happened here today in a little Life in Bali comment. Before we move on to the important, profound Zen stuff. And that is, you know what a Scooby is? You know, isn't Scooby-Doo? Yeah, it's that cartoon character. And sometimes I even have said Scooby-Doo. But a Scooby is, one use of the word is the starter for kombucha. And Katrinka has been making kombucha. And she makes pretty good kombucha. You know, kombucha can be very vinegary. I think some of it has alcohol in it, but that's verboten in this household. Anyway, she's been getting it down to making some pretty good kombucha. And she makes it with the starters, like yogurt or bread, where you have a starter yeast. You know, like sourdough, you pass it on for 1,000 years. The kombucha starter she has, though, it's like really sort of creepy. It's like slimy, and it all holds together, and it's gray. It's like this gray blob. And, you know, it's really like something from a scary sci-fi movie that they brought in from outer space. And they think it's harmless, you know, and then discover differently as one by one they're picked off, and then they realize it will cover the earth, right? That sort of thing. And tonight, so she's, you know, just been back a week from Cuckoo Land, America, and tonight I hear her talking very sweetly to something, so I assumed she was talking to our dog. Our guest dog, Boom Boo, is gone, but we still have Bondi, which is our dog, and she talked sweetly to Bondi, but when I went in there, I found, no, she was talking to the Scooby, and that, you know, I wondered, well, maybe it's, you know, like, already sort of taken her over, and would I be next, and that sort of thing. I mean, she was talking sweetly to this gray glob. But, all right. I mean, you know, if I made Scooby, I guess, you know, the next thing I know, I'd be saying thank you to it. Control tower correction. Katrinka just told me I'm mispronouncing it. It's Scoby. Scoby. So anyway, all right, here we go. Reading here from the... all right, you know what I'm going to read you? I said I was going to do this. I'm going to read you the entire Beginner's Mind lecture verbatim transcript. Now, we have just put this on ShunyuSuzuki.com because we had a almost verbatim transcript, seemed to be verbatim, but we didn't have the audio until recently it was discovered at Zen Center. So we've been working with Engage Wisdom, a private business started by Charlie Wilson and Shundo David Hay, who's their Zen student. Shundo's a priest there, and gives talks and has classes and stuff. And they're both audio engineers. And they have contracted with Zen Center to do this massive amount of archiving. And also, it took Charlie years of hard work to get Zen Center to pay attention and allow him to do this. He started with Reb's lectures, and then I hired him, Q Archives hired him to do Shunryu Suzuki, to redigitize it. I digitized it back in 2008, but he could do much higher quality. And he went back to the original tapes, whereas I did it off of what we call the master cassette. So, and he uses, he uses state-of-the-art techniques with, just the absolute perfect reel-to-reel tape recorders and cassette recorders to digitize them. And he's just on top of the game, right? Still, the tapes are so low quality, there's not a great deal of difference. But you've got to do it that way. And then he saves them at this super high level of digitizing. And that's for archiving. And what he works with, and then he puts them through a sound reduction, and they work on the speed and stuff. They're doing a great job. So we've been transcribing those and working with Shindo David Hay, who's really putting serious concentrated time into this, mainly him and Peter Ford and Wendy Piercig with me sort of consulting. I did one of these new lectures, but I'm slow and stuff. It's better if they ask me questions, and so, that's ongoing. Anyway, I've probably repeated myself there too much with that. This is I know Shindo did a transcript of it, but Pete, we do these verbatim transcripts based on Bill Redican's verbatims. The technique is really to get every word down except for the uhs, but every which is the main thing Suzuki Roshi said in his lectures is, I think the thing that repeats the most is he's always saying, so-and-so, The next might be thank you. But anyway, so here we go. I'm going to read it, the whole thing. And it just went up. That Peter went over it, and then Wendy and I looked at it. He credits all three of it. Well, that's a little overly humble. I think he should include David Hay, too, but it's mainly Peter making sure it's verbatim. All right, that's enough of all that. So, Beginner's Mind, Shunryu Suzuki transcript, Thursday, November 11th, 1965. Thursday morning lecture, Los Altos. People say to study Zen is difficult. In what way? But there is some misunderstanding why it is difficult. It is not difficult because to sit in cross-legged position is hard, or to attain enlightenment is hard, but it is hard to keep our mind pure and to keep our practice pure in original way. Zen become more and more impure, and after Zen school established in China, it is a development of Zen, but at that time it become impure. But I don't want to talk about Chinese Zen or history of Zen this morning, but why I say I want to talk about why it is difficult is because just you came here this morning. Getting up early is very valuable experience for you. Just you wanted to come here is very valuable. We say shoshin. Shoshin means beginner's mind. If we can keep beginner's mind always, that is the goal of our practice. We recited Prajna Paramita Sutra this morning only once, I think we recited very well. But what will happen to us if we recite twice, 3 times, 4 times, and more? Then we will easily lose our attitude in reciting, original attitude in reciting sutra. Same thing will happen to us. While you keep your beginner's mind in your gap in audio. If we continue to practice 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, our beginner's mind gap in audio will have some pattern, and we will lose the limitless meaning of original mind. In beginner's mind, we have many possibilities, but in expert mind, there is not much possibilities. So in our practice, the important thing is to resume to our original mind, or our inmost mind, which we do. We ourselves, even we ourselves, do not know what it is. This is the most important thing for us. The founder of our school emphasized this point. We have to remain always beginner's mind, and this is the secret of Zen and secret of various practice of flower arrangement, practice of Japanese singing, and various art. If we keep our beginner's mind, we keep our precepts. When we lose our beginner's mind, we will lose all the precepts. And for Zen students, the most important thing is not to be dualistic we should not lose our self-satisfied state of mind. We should not be too demanding, or we should not be too greedy. Our mind should be always rich and self-satisfied. When our mind become demanding, or when we become longing for something, we will violate our precepts not to kill, not to be immoral, not to steal, or not to tell a lie, and so on. Those are based on our greedy mind. When our mind is satisfied, we keep our precepts. When we ourselves is always self-satisfied, we have our original beauty, and we can practice good, and we are always true to ourselves. So the most difficult thing is to keep our beginner's mind in our practice. So if you can keep your beginner's mind forever, you are Buddha. In this point, our practice should be concentrated. We should practice our way with beginner's mind always. There is no need to have deep understanding of Zen. Even though you read Zen literature, you have to keep this beginner's mind, and you have to read it with fresh mind. We shouldn't say, I know what is Zen, or I have attained enlightenment. We should be always beginner. This is a very important point and difficult. We should be very, very careful about this point. I was very much impressed by your practice this morning, although your posture was not perfect. Laughter. But the feeling you have here is wonderful. There is no comparison to it. At the same time, we should make our effort to keep this feeling forever in your practice. This is a very, very important point. In Japanese art, when you master some art, when you become successor of your master, you will receive some paper on which something is written. No one knows what it is. It is very difficult to figure out what it is and to explain what it is. But if you have a beginner's mind, it's all right. Thank you very much. If you can say thank you very much from bottom of your heart, that's all right. If you say what it is, you have no secret. Just you can say thank you very much. That's enough. But this is very difficult. So by your practice, we must make our beginner's mind more and more. We should appreciate beginner's mind. This is the secret of practice, Zen practice. Okay, that is it. I just read the verbatim version of the very famous Beginner's Mind lecture, the best known talk that Shunryu Suzuki gave. I remember in the other one, the one we had that I called apparently verbatim, I thought this would, at a point it said, it indicated, right in here they say gap in audio 2 times. There was something like that in those 2, and I thought, oh, good, now I'll be able to see what that was. No, it was just a gap in the audio. So we're not going to know if there was anything or not. Probably. Who knows? Probably what there was. Might have been accidentally erased, but that's all right. We don't want it to be too perfect. So you see a lot of grammatical errors, but listen, there's lectures he gave that have a lot more, and there's lectures he gave 5 years later which have a lot more. And one of his real repeats is to switch around with pronouns. I mean, he'll start telling something and say, "When you do so and so, we so and so." He'll go between you and we a lot, but I've heard him go you, we, he, I. It drives me nuts sometimes. But that's why I like the light edits. I like to fix that. You make it one thing. There's a couple of points I want to make here. You see this last paragraph. I was talking about it recently when I read it before, where he talks about thank you. Now, that's very important to me. And I mentioned in a prior podcast that Jerry Halpern, who quite likely heard this lecture because he was a student there then, he 65, I don't know if he'd come yet. But anyway, he was a Los Altos student. He liked this part better, and he pointed it out to me, that here Suzuki talks about thank you, saying thank you, and it's not in the edited version of the lecture that went in the book. I don't know if we have a light edit of it up. I think we do have one light edit, but that's one thing about ShunyuSuzuki.com, is that we'll make available every version we can find. The Zen Center site, sfzc.org/sr-archive, I think that's it, or the EW, engagewisdom.com. They're doing a better presentation. We're more of an archive as a resource for them. They're doing a really nice presentation, but they choose one version of each lecture, so you can just go read it. And as a result, their site isn't a mess. Like ours, there's ShunyuSuzuki.com, there's Cuke.com, there's ZMBM.net, which really just goes to, it's like a shell site to go to the Zen Mind Beginner's Mind section on Cuke.com. So, all right, I'm going to, anyway, where he's saying, he's talking about if you're studying with the master in some art, that they'll give you a piece of paper and it has stuff written on it. And, you won't know what it is. And he's sort of saying, if you start asking what it is, don't do that. Just say thank you. Don't try to understand it. But the way it's worded, the last time I made a point that I thought it was saying something else, and I think I was wrong then, because I told Peter and Shundo and Wendy Piersick what I thought. I thought I had discovered something. Look, it's this sentence. He says, so you get this piece of paper you don't know what it is. And if you say what it is, you have no secret. Just you can say thank you very much. Now, I looked at that, and it's the way it's written is if you can say, comma, open quotes, what it is, in quotes, you have no secret. Just you can say thank you very much. I originally read that to mean if you can say what is it, you have no secret. You should just say thank you very much. But then I looked at it last week and I said, oh, if you can say what it is, not a question mark, a statement. If you can say what it is, you have no secret. In other words, if you can identify what's on that piece of paper, there's no secret. You should just say thank you very much. So it can be taken that way, or it can be taken if you say anything about it. You have no secret. You should leave it alone and just say thank you. And when I communicated to them that I'd had this epiphany that it is, if you can say what it is, you have no secret. Both Peter and Shunryu said, nah, if you really look at it, he's saying, if you can say, what is it? But except he said, what it is? He had it backwards. So I think they're right, but it still makes perfect sense to say it the other way. But maybe overall the most sense is that if you say anything. So we do have a note there. We came up with a note. This sentence can be understood as if you can say what it is, there's no secret, in which case correct English would be what is it? Or it can be read as if you can say what it is, there's no secret. So that'll be a mystery. You can make up your own mind because we have not yet codified it into one absolutely correct way to understand it with severe punishments for anybody who disagrees. All right, so that's it. Ending with gratitude. That was edited out. Is in my beginner's mind. That's right. It's great. It's in my beginner's mind. Oh, another thing. I always like doing this. This, the famous line that is quoted constantly everywhere about Suzuki. It's the number one thing that's quoted by 100 times more than anything else, maybe 1,000 times more than anything else is the quote. In the expert's mind, and I'm trying to remember how it's done. In the expert's mind, in the beginner's mind, the possibilities are many. In the expert's mind, they are few. Something like that, But what he said was, and that is a good edit from what he said, was, in beginner's mind, we have many possibilities, but in expert mind, there is not much possibilities. A little bit of a grammatical error there. There is not much possibilities. They just don't have singular and plural. They don't use pronouns like we do in Japanese. It's so nice, so clean. Okay, that's good. Thank you very much for joining. This has been a Cuke Audio Medium podcast. I'm DC Poobah of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, coming to you from sleepy Sonora with Doggett Bandita, Feline Cuchita, and dear lovely Katrinka. And we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.